All right, guys. I wanted to do something a little bit different where I give kind of like a weekly recap of, Frozen Walrus in general. I don't know that I'll do it every week, but I haven't done one since like, the beginning or the launch of Frozen Walrus. I want to go over some metrics and kind of explain where I think we're at and why I think we're doing so good. So we can start off just by going to a couple different websites. I do have a Google Stats site that gets updated daily that shows LP distribution, our current TWAP situation, our TVL into the protocol and stuff like that. So I really like to look at this, and the reason I have it in general is so that people can see like stability, our TVL trend, our LP splits, how much is in the boardroom versus how much is in each of these LPs. And you can see that we're at a very healthy amount for everything. Our total TVL went down. We got up to about 1 million, and then we tanked down to about 678. And since then, we've been climbing. Even today, I think we're close to 900K. And this is exactly what I explained to you guys. This is exactly what I wanted to see. We've been seeing, week over week TVL growth. Obviously, there's going to be weeks and anomalies where we go down. But we've still done no marketing. We're closing in on 2,000 Discord members with zero marketing, no shilling. I feel very comfortable with those levels for a newer protocol that's just growing into itself. If you grow too fast, you could have, several big dumps like we had seen, because I do think that we were growing at a pretty exceptional rate. And I think that it was normal for people to take profits and rotate their positions. So I really didn't stress too much. And even when we went under peg, so I think that's important too. So I'm going to open up the chart. I don't have it yet, so let me open it up. I'm going to show you something that Walrus had happen. So obviously, when we got down to 600 and whatever TVL, right, we had a situation occur, right, where a lot of tube forks die. So we were here for quite some time, and then we had large sales. We were still teetering above that 1.1, and then more whales had decided to exit, right? And we got all the way down to 86 cents. Now, here's what happens in a lot of tube forks. The developers make, knee-jerk reactions, and this is not for everybody. I'm just saying from like my perspective of being in tube forks, they make knee-jerk reactions, single stake, right? And I saw some people like kind of mention it, but most of our community was pretty solid with the approach I had. If we can't come back to this organically by still building LP and doing all the things that were intended for a tune fork to work, single staking will just screw us over. What would happen is people would start breaking their LP to buy back Walrus, and we would get over. Well, if we don't have any newcomers because I have no marketing, then the same people would have to sell half of that Walrus back for LP, and then we would be back in the same scenario, and nothing new would come out of it. Right? So we had to pretty much withstand this. We had to come back from this because this is normal. And making this normal and understanding the concept of this elastic situation, that it goes under, it goes above, it goes under, it goes above, and making sure people understand that and are educated about that, I thought was a better approach to getting back to peg than instantly going for the single stake. Will I implement single staking? Possibly. But it's not something that I'm interested in right now because we're still building TVL. We're closing in on 500K liquidity for Walrus. And if we look at Walrus share, which is doing, again, great in a time where, the market's shaky, we have 240K liquidity here. This price action for the share token is going to be more volatile, but from what I've seen, we had a floor and we kept going. We're bouncing off floors. People are buying, people are stepping in. They understand that the value of Walrus share right now, it's only $92, right? But I think once the second peg token gets released, that the share token will gain a little more utility. And we honestly already have a couple of utilities that may be kind of, I wouldn't call them gimmicky, but they are something that benefits a user that chooses to use the protocol to the protocol's health, which would be staking into the boardroom and locking up those share tokens. We, of course, have NFT giveaways that we do weekly. It looks like AVAX Punks will be learning this week, or will be bought this week and given out to some people. We've already been able to do 2. I love doing giveaways. I think it's a blast. And honestly, this snapshot is awesome. I'm glad that I'm able to provide it for you guys, where you have to have stake shares, and those are the only things allocated. So you can't have large whales try and make allocation changes to our protocol if we come up with that. So this is something that I'm really happy that we've implemented. It gives share stakers a little bit more, I guess, benefits to just staying and doing exactly what they are going to do anyway. You get to vote and you get a chance to win a really nice NFT. I think we've given away altogether, I think we've given away like, 80 or 90 AVAX worth of NFTs, if you count it all together. So really cool. I'm really happy that we've gotten to do that. Obviously, speaking on the second peg token, we're pegged to, can't say it yet. I know that bothers some people, but we are using Narwhal as our token. And Space Games with Dave has made a beautiful, beautiful icon that goes around the same color theme, has the same eye. It looks awesome, right? I'm really happy that we've produced this. And I think that this token looks really cool. So I'm really happy with Narwhal. Narwhal is going to be coming out in a Genesis pool that will run for 4 weeks. The reason that we're doing that is so that people don't feel inclined to break that Walrus LP and try and buy into, Narwhal, or try and get, Narwhal off the open market, whatever it may be. We just don't want that kind of instability. So we opted for a 4-week Genesis pool so people can use their same LP they already have in the farms and just move them over to the Genesis pool and gain that Narwhal until you build a big enough position. And then you can, add those to the farms and build your Narwhal position without ever having to purchase more or having to go out of your way to sell Walrus, which is the main concern. Of course, I want people purchasing Narwhal so that we have stability in that as well. But what we're seeing is really awesome for Frozen Walrus. I said week over week, and we're doing it. A couple, awesome things to mention is nodes. We now have 1,725 of the Walrus LP, which is equaling up about 66,000. And then obviously the Walrus share is 13,000. So we're close to 80,000 locked in nodes, right? And I'm really happy with that. That's 80,000 in liquidity that we just have setting in a reward pool that can't be touched other than when people claim it at 2.3% daily. So it's a really beneficial thing, because if you look at our total TVL and we're at 800 or 900K, that's still 10% of our total value locked right there. It can't move. It's bottlenecked. And so that's why these nodes are so essential to, our growth. And as we grow bigger and bigger and more nodes are made, we have more and more of that LP locked up and bottlenecked. And that's why I love LP nodes so much and why they've worked so well. On that front, I like to look at our auto compounders and the health of our auto compounders. Obviously, the more that we have in here, the more that we're burning, right? It burns the Walrus token. And you can see that we have close to 350K just in there. And out of 800K, we're almost 50% of the total value locked in the Magic AC Avalanche vaults. Obviously, Grape being an 11 mil TVL protocol, they're going to have a lot more power to do that kind of thing. So they have 360K in just their Grape mem. So I think performance-wise, we're killing it. Everybody's doing a great job at doing that. And placing in the Magic Auto Compounder, we'll eventually be able to see how much we've burnt off of it. But that burning mechanism and taking that inflation off is doing really, really well. And speaking of burning, I guess the next thing is Gladiator Finance. We had linked up on this King of the Coliseum they've developed that I think has a beautiful UI and has a really cool concept. So if we just go to Walrus here, there's a pot for 1,000 Walrus. And pretty much what you do is you buy it for 5 Walrus, you get a chance at winning this entire pot, right? So just if this goes 3 hours and nobody purchases a Walrus ticket, the last person to purchase that Walrus ticket wins the 1,000. And what's awesome is 80% of all tickets bought. So if we get, let's say 5,000, if it goes super degen at 5,000, you're looking at almost 4,000 Walrus taken off the market. And if we just want to take a glance at our total supply, we're at 267. So 4,000 is a substantial amount off the market. Now, will that happen every time? Of course not. But I'm just making hypotheticals of why this could be really powerful over time. So we now have 2 burn mechanisms and more to come, obviously, of taking things off the market And we also have a Walrus share one that will actually be burning. So Walrus share is now deflationary, has 2 pegs, and you can get free NFTs. Walrus share is awesome. I think that we're really driving some utility home with that, and we're going to continue to do that in lucrative and exciting ways. But yeah, so those are the main points. If we want to look at our treasury, I can go to our Gnosis safe here. We're at about 120K. Now, a lot of that is, of course, 100K of that is showing in our native assets here. But we still have some ETH that we've averaged in, but we've stopped recently. We did recently have to make a purchase with our USDC to pay off the developer fees. So that was a substantial chunk. And obviously, we've been floating around 1.1, and we haven't really made large sells because we didn't want to cause a downtrend. So we're trying to be really healthy with the treasury. We're looking for revenue generation, things that we can do similar to how Magic AC works. We want to provide something that users can use and that protocols would be benefiting us, or we would get some type of revenue generation from that. So we are looking into that. We're looking into a lot of things. We're looking into lock single staking. There's all kinds of things that we can do. And with the stability that we've gained, because I know that you guys may know this, but we do have a dynamic inflation set in place right now for our boardroom. So the expansion on Frozen Walrus is minimal. This is my account that I'm using for the episodes that I'm doing on using $100 in Frozen Walrus. So that's why you see some in here. But yeah, so our dynamic inflation right now, our TWAP's at 1.12, so we're probably getting about 1.12% inflation each epoch. And so that really helps taper off that extra inflation. And the APR is still beautiful. It's still great, and this is exactly what I wanted. The more shares that get staked, the more stable the protocol is. Everything is really working exactly as I intended it. Will it always work that well? Maybe not, but in these market conditions, the things that we're building, the things that we've been able to execute on, I'm just so happy with the performance of the community, of organic marketing, of rebates, bonds, boardroom, everything. Everything's working so well, and I'm just so excited for Frozen Walrus' future. Now, rebates, of course, did gain a lot of protocol and liquidity. And we actually had some issues with LP pricing because, as you know, this LP pricing for USDC is very difficult because it only has 6 decimals. So I am going to be releasing rebates again today, but you can only bond with AVAX and USDC. And that's just so that we don't have to worry about pricing issues, and the treasury can still profit off of it without selling into the open market. So yeah, so many good things. The farms are kicking right about where I want them to be, 1% and 1%. Now these can go up and down based on Walrus share prices, but I'm very happy with everything that I've seen from the community side, from the performance of Frozen Walrus, the TVL week over week still gaining. Once again, we're probably going to be reaching that 1 mil. And hopefully we do. I'm really trying to grow this YouTube channel to do our own marketing so that I don't have to pay for marketing or get shills. I really want organic growth and a strong core community. And I think that we are getting that. 2,000 members is nothing to scoff at without any shills, right? Without anybody knowing about us through anything other than word of mouth and my exposure to YouTube and people knowing my name, right? So we're going to look at new tactics to market in a safer, healthier way to make sure that the people come in want that longevity. And that's why we did the LP tax. And I guess that's the last thing to mention is the LP tax. I haven't calculated it all, but I'm pretty sure we've gotten close to 20K in LP for the protocol, which is crazy, right? From people just unstaking their LP, moving it around, whatever they're doing, whenever there's large sales and stuff like that, or large amounts of LP taken out, we benefit from that. And so we gain even more protocol and liquidity, which again deepens liquidity that won't be used by the user, but for the treasury. And so, just another really one of those things that I really enjoyed that we did. It was, if you were here for 6 weeks, you won't even notice the tax because by the time you take it out and move it to the new Genesis pools, you won't even be taxed. And you're doing exactly what the protocol wants you to do, and you're helping us out. So I'm just, I'm floored with the amount of support and price action and locked nodes and rebates and everything. In my opinion, Frozen Walrus has been a success and hopefully continues to be one. Um, Thank you all for being here and being involved and trusting in this protocol and trusting in me. Um, I had seen some people, question my ability to do this, and you know, for you all to trust me, I don't have some crazy credentials to be a CEO, but I'm genuine, I'm passionate, I care, and I learn fast, and I think that's what I've been doing. I have an amazing dev team with Dibs. They're able to produce things, fresh things, not forks, but real new things. And so I'm excited because I haven't solidified a lot of things, but I'm always in talks with ways to benefit you as a user in the Frozen Walrus ecosystem. And I can promise you that I'll never do something that tarnishes my integrity. And with that, I can't always promise you great price action. I can't always promise you moons or no dumps because I can't control wallets or prices. But I will always try and drive home utility. With the trading card game, with our NFTs that we'll be releasing. All of these things I am trying to produce to make Frozen Walrus a large ecosystem that can contain itself and bring new users in on the basis that it's a good protocol, not the basis that I paid 40K for marketing. So if you're riding this out with me, I appreciate it. I really do. I genuinely just am so passionate about this, and I love Frozen Walrus. I love running protocols, the good and the bad. I love being in the discords. So if you're a part of it, hats off to you. I appreciate you taking the risk and believing in me. So that's it. That's it for Frozen Walrus, the weekly update. It was nothing scripted or nothing that I wanted to 100% cover, but it's something that I thought would be a really cool video. So thank you guys, and thanks for watching.